And now here's Rick Casey with tonight's Last Word.
I haven't yet seen the new movie, J. Edgar, although I'm eager to. The New York Times reviewer called it a fascinating psychological portrait. I doubt San Antonio features in the film. If it did, the reviewer might have also referred to it as a farce. About 15 years ago, I received a call from Mike Appleby, the San Antonio FBI agent in charge of dealing with the media. He had a favor to ask. Would I be willing to give a talk to the annual conference of all the agents in the Western District of Texas? I hesitated, but then agreed to do so. I had good news for the agents. The good news was how lucky they were to be working in the 1990s, not in the 1960s and 1970s, when Director J. Edgar Hoover ordered all FBI offices to concentrate on fighting communists, black militants, and radical students. Back in 1978, I had received a box of 553 pages of communications between the San Antonio FBI office and Hoover's office under the program known as COINTELPRO, for Counterintelligence Program, and did a magazine piece on them. It was clear from the memos that the Western District of Texas had a problem. There was a severe shortage of communists, black militants, and student radicals. But local FBI officials apparently did not believe Hoover wanted to hear that. So the San Antonio field office became quite creative, if more than a little bit silly, in trying to impress the director. Here are some examples I gave the agents of how they would have been spending their days in the 1960s. At least one of them would be assigned to writing under the alias of Dylan J. O'Rourke, letters to the editor of the University of Texas student newspaper supporting the Vietnam War. San Antonio FBI agents also sent anonymous letters to the parents of young people running a peace-oriented coffee house in Killeen near Fort Hood. The anonymous letters, framed as being from a friend of the son or daughter, reported that their children were living in sin and that it was, quote, common knowledge, unquote, that there were pot parties at the house. There's no indication they had actual evidence of marijuana use. In another action, local agents falsely told his employer that San Antonio peace activist Tom Flower had caused a scene while making a call on a client. Flower was fired. San Antonio did have one openly admitted communist, John Stanford. At one point, the local office wrote Washington for advice. A banker had asked whether he should grant Stanford a mortgage. A week later, Hoover's office approved the loan, writing, quote, "It would appear to be more advantageous to have Stanford in the position of being a house owner, committed to definite family and financial responsibilities, and engaged in regular employment." There was more, much more. A few of the agents chuckled, but most sat silent. At the end of my talk, the special agent in charge of the San Antonio field office announced that he had checked with the office during the question and answer period, and all but two of the operations I described had been discontinued. That did get a laugh. And as I was leaving, Agent Appleby came up to me, put his arm around my shoulder, and said, "Rick, you say those files are in your basement." And that's it for Texas Week. See you next time.